A truckers' convoy rolls into the nation's capital.
One of the biggest stories that I've covered in my career.
The trucker protest reached its final destination, with anger toward reporters boiling.
You should be embarrassed to be a journalist!
And at times it was just absolute chaos. Absolute chaos.
Hold the line, hold the line!
How did it get to this? You know, why didn't something happen earlier? Could this have been avoided?
A weekend of this continued Monday. Blaring horns, streets blocked by vehicles on Parliament Hill and into the downtown core.
We lived this story for 3 weeks, day and night in minus 20-degree weather.
Every single person at Parliament resign, or they end all of this narrative and drop it. That's what I want to see.
There are 6 convoys, each from different parts of the country. Some are already here, some are on the way. Police have been in close communication with convoy captains, all with the aim of a peaceful demonstration.
This is not your typical protest. This was an occupation, and it was obvious from the very beginning when I saw that people were not going to go anywhere.
Can you imagine if you or I parked a vehicle in front of the west block of Parliament Hill, took all the wheels off, lit a fire to stay warm, and started serving food? How long would that last? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? This went on for 3 weeks.
This week on the West Block, protesters bring their fight against COVID restrictions to Ottawa.
As we were recording that first weekend, all you could hear were the truck sounds of the horns right through the studio, bleeding through the studio.
And you can probably hear it on the streets below. It has been a weekend like few others.
It was a very tense environment to walk into, especially those of us who had a camera. I think for camera operators especially, they were that much more visible in the crowd.
You've told lie after lie after lie.
I'd never seen that level of hate directed at us. I called it was hate wrapped in the Canadian flag.
The news is lying to people. You guys are lying. I do not understand. I do not understand how you as reporters and as new anchors can sit behind the desk and tell people lies.
3 questions were always asked: who do you work for? How do you sleep at night? And when are you going to start telling the truth? Those were the 3 questions we always got asked. And it wasn't being asked in a nice way.
It was hard to convey, I think, sometimes, the image that people would see of this party atmosphere, but the reality when you're out there on the street was very, very different.
Businesses near Parliament Hill, including Ontario provincial liquor stores, would not even open their doors Sunday after protesters the night before verbally and physically assaulted staff for trying to enforce the very public health rules on mask wearing and vaccine passports that the protesters are here to overturn. One group stormed a nearby shelter, assaulted a security guard, and stole meals that had been prepared for the homeless.
This was the first time when a news team that I've been a part of has had to have regular security.
Do the truth instead of lies.
I'm not used to going out with a security guard to be able to be there to protect us. This was completely different from anything I'd ever experienced.
Many people seemed convinced that we were out to distort what they were saying, which is not at all how we do our job.
Our job is to report the news and to tell the story. So I think we tried to do that as best we could under these really challenging and difficult circumstances and situations.
This trucker family has been parked in Ottawa for 13 days with their 5-year-old.
There's not a parent down here that would jeopardize the safety or the health of their child. We brought them down here so that they can be proud of the moment.
There is more than one point of view, so we listened, we tried to reflect the both sides of the story and all sides of the story in our broadcast and online coverage.
We were right on the front line of the protesters when the police were moving in by the Rideau Centre, and I'll never forget that moment for the rest of my career as a journalist, because it was, you felt like that's exactly where you needed to be to tell the story properly, and yet being very aware of the volatility of that situation and just how hostile and aggressive things were.
Now you have all these additional people who have come here today. And you got to remember that yesterday the police told people not to come to the community. They said that people should not, in fact, come because there would be problems. And they tried to cut off access here by virtue of checkpoints. The day after Ottawa was wrapped up, we were in the Byward Market. The cameraman and I were doing some interviews with people, and people came up to us and thanked us. They said, thank you for telling the rest of the country what we've been going through here, and they were just so relieved, they told us, that they felt that they had their city back.